Welcome to the collection of the wildest and craziest AITA Reddit stories of all time. From wild betrayals to shocking twists, these tales will leave you questioning who is really in the wrong. Let's dive in together. The first story for this collection is from Darling Daisy. AITA for telling my boyfriend I don't want to play house while he figures his life out. I, 20F, recently moved into my own apartment for the first time, and I've been working hard to manage my finances, responsibilities, and new independence. My boyfriend, 22M, is sweet, but he's been going through a rough patch, dropped out of school, currently unemployed, and figuring things out. He asked if he could stay with me for a while to get on his feet. At first, I agreed because I love him and I didn't want him to struggle. But after a couple of weeks, I realized I was doing everything: groceries, bills, cleaning, emotional support, while he slept in, played games, and occasionally talked about starting something soon. I finally sat him down and said I wasn't okay playing house and acting like we're in a stable partnership when I'm the only one holding everything up. I told him I love him, but I didn't move out to become someone's safety net while they drift. He got really upset, called me cold and not supportive. Some of my friends are saying I'm being too harsh and should be patient. But I don't feel like I should sacrifice my stability to carry someone who doesn't seem to be moving forward. AITA for setting that boundary. OP is not the AH. She's taking responsibility for her own life and has every right to set boundaries in her home. Isn't rejecting love, she's rejecting imbalance and emotional labor with no reciprocation. As for scores, I would rate OP's boyfriend 2.5 and OP 0 out of 5 on the AH scale. Let's now jump on to the next story from Kayla Harper 90. AITA for demanding to check my brother's girlfriend's bags before they leave my house? A bit of background here. I, 39F, have a brother, 32M, whom I'll call Chase. Chase has been with this girl, 35F, that I'll call Vivian for almost 2 years now. About a month into their relationship, Vivian got pregnant with my nephew, who is now almost a year old. Vivian also has 2 daughters, 5F and 8F, from a previous relationship. Her daughters are very close in age to my daughter, 7F, and up until last weekend, everyone got along fine. They live in a different state from us, but come to visit fairly often and stay with us because we have the extra room. Last weekend, they came to stay again, and about an hour before they left, my daughter noticed that a few of her favorite toys were missing. The girls were playing all weekend, so I didn't think much of it and offered to help her look for them. After about 20 minutes of searching, we could not find the toys anywhere, so I asked Vivian's girls if they remembered where they had been playing with them last. The girls said no but acted a little guilty about it. I asked Chase and Vivian about it, and Chase said he saw the exact toys in the room that Vivian's girls were sleeping in. We went to check and they were not there. He asked Vivian if she had moved them when she packed the girls' things that morning, and she said they were not there. We went back into the living room, and I saw Vivian's girls huddled close together over a backpack and quickly closed it when they saw we were there. Chase asked the girls again if they knew where the toys were, and this time, they didn't say anything and just looked at their mom. Chase reached for the bag, and Vivian lost it. She started yelling at me how dare I accuse her daughters of stealing, and she tried to snatch the bag away. Chase opened it, and there were the missing toys plus a few more. I was furious. I told her I wanted to see what else she had and demanded she open the 2 suitcases. She said that was an invasion of her privacy and tried to take them and leave. Chase stopped her and made her open them. She had taken several tops, a few skirts and dresses, and a brand new pair of Nikes that belonged to my daughter. I took everything back and told her she and her girls were not allowed back into my home. I have since received several texts from her and a few unknown numbers telling me I embarrassed her and upset her girls because they were promised the items. Chase is upset with her, but said I was too mean to her in front of everyone and that I could have handled the situation more privately. I do feel awful that her girls left crying, but AITA for how I handled the situation? Edited to add answers to a few questions I keep getting. I am not sure who promised the girls the items. She would not elaborate, but I'm assuming it was her. She wanted me to pull her aside into a different room away from Chase and the kids to talk the situation out. Also, yes, I'm 99% sure the baby is his. He is almost a carbon copy of my brother when he was a baby. I do not believe the girls knew they were stealing the things. I believe that their mom told them I said it was okay. We have never had problems with the girls before this. They seem to be good kids. Also, I'll be talking with my brother tonight or tomorrow to discuss things further. Edit 2. I will be speaking with my brother in about an hour. I have been in contact with someone who knows her, and a lot has come to light. I will update again if my brother says I can, as it's his life and not mine. Vivian is not at all who she claims to be. OP is not the AH. She was protecting her daughter's belongings and responded reasonably after catching clear evidence of theft. Setting boundaries after a breach of trust is not mean, it's necessary. So, I would rate OP's brother 2.5, and OP 0 out of 5 on the AH scale. Let's now jump on to the next story from M4PLE Syrup 3935. AITA, for telling my wife I don't recognize the person she turned our daughter into? I, 45M, have a 16-year-old daughter, Stephanie. She used to be a nice kid. Not perfect, not an angel, just real funny, sharp and kind. We'd go for drives, talk about music, life, and dumb stuff. She used to talk to me about stuff with 100% trust in me whenever her mom or someone at school made her mad, and I'd listen. Then, about a year ago, something shifted. My wife, Ava, 43F, and Stephanie suddenly became inseparable. Ava has always had an obsession with becoming famous and keeping up with trends. Every time she cooks something, she posts it on her blog. Whenever she's at an event, private or not, the internet has to know before anyone else. She buys trendy clothes and doesn't wear them when the trend dies out. I know that it's her life. It wasn't a problem as she wasn't dragging any of us into it. Until now. The problem is my wife started pulling Stephanie into her world, the beauty appointments, designer clothes, quick weight loss diets, influencer junk. They were posting TikToks together, coordinating outfits, calling each other besties. At first, I didn't bat an eye. I thought it might be good to bond with her mom. Then Stephanie started lying. A lot. She snuck out, she got caught vaping in the school bathroom, and I caught her with expensive makeup that none of us bought for her. She posted pictures of herself in outfits I wouldn't even call clothes, and I'm not talking about crop tops and shorts, I mean miniskirts and short tops that barely cover anything. I brought it up, gently at first. My wife said, "She's just expressing herself." Then, "You're being controlling." 3 weeks ago, I found out Stephanie took her mom's credit card, without permission, and put down a deposit on a $3,200 dream prom dress. A custom one from a designer in LA. She didn't even tell us. I only found out because the charge hit our joint account. I was furious. I sat Stephanie down and said this had to stop. That this wasn't who she was. She rolled her eyes and said, "You're just mad I'm not your little girl anymore." Then my wife, Ava, chimed in and said, "She's growing. Get over it. You're being dramatic." I'm not proud, but that's when I lost it. I said, "What's dramatic is the fact that our underage daughter dresses like an adult, steals, and vapes. For God's sake, she's your child, not just a friend. You should take care of her as I tried until now, since you encouraged this behavior." Stephanie burst into tears and stormed upstairs. My wife told me I was disgusting for slut-shaming our daughter and that I was jealous of their closeness. I slept on the couch, and I haven't talked to Stephanie in days. My wife still thinks I overreacted and humiliated them both. I talked about it to some of my family, and they agreed that Ava's obsession spreading to our daughter isn't ideal. However, they also said that it's just a teen phase, and I should let her go through it. But I'm scared. Not just angry, scared. I don't recognize my daughter. I understand she grew up, but I feel like she's getting influenced by her mother, and she's going down the wrong path. So, OP is not the AH. He's a concerned father witnessing a troubling shift in his daughter's behavior, which he believes is being encouraged by his wife's obsession with online image and trendiness. As for scores, I would rate OP's wife 2.5, and OP 0 out of 5 on the AH scale. Let's now move on to the next story from Dependent Unfair 7400. AITA, for admitting I don't care about my mom's on and off again boyfriend or his daughter. I, 15M, only have my mom for family. I never knew my dad, And my mom didn't either. He was a one-night stand who gave her a fake name at the time, and she could never track him down. My mom's family was pretty toxic and chaotic when she was growing up, and she's told me some stuff about it. Drugs are a big thing in her family, so she kept me away. She's dated a lot over the years, but I only ever knew one of those guys, and that was Chris. Chris and my mom met when I was 8, and they've been on and off ever since. Chris has an 8-year-old daughter whom he's raising alone, too. I didn't know Chris all the time. He and my mom have dated. I was 10 when he was first introduced to me. They were together a little while before breaking up again. But after that breakup, Chris started bringing his daughter when he'd meet up with mom and when I'd be there. There were times we'd all go somewhere together for the day. Last time my mom and Chris were together, we even went on vacation together, but they broke up not long after. I never bonded with Chris or his daughter, and I used to try and find ways to get out of hanging out with them. When Chris and his daughter came over, I tried to make plans to spend time with friends so I wasn't babysitting or having her follow me around, which she did a lot. I always liked it more when they weren't around, and when the last breakup happened, I was relieved. Chris is kind of weird to me in that I don't hate the guy, but I don't vibe with him. There were some times he acted like he was my dad and tried to push me to do stuff he'd make his son do. Like playing football. Or he'd tell me I had a responsibility to our family, even though we never lived together, and I was never left in his care. I might be alone in the room with him, but never in the house. Other times, he looked disappointed that I was there. And a few times it was like he was angry I had plans and wouldn't stay to play with his daughter. He never said he was mad, to me anyway. But it was the vibe I got from him. Mom told me he never said anything, but she thought maybe he was disappointed. Then, a couple of weeks ago, Mom asked me to come talk to her after school, and she said there were some things to discuss. Chris was there when I got home, and they told me they wanted to make a real go of it and get married. But Mom said it was important to know how I felt about Chris and his daughter being a part of our family. Either Chris being a dad, if I wanted, or a stepdad. And his daughter is my little sister. I asked Mom if I could talk to her alone. Chris said he wanted to hear it. That he and his daughter loved me and wanted us to be a family. He said he didn't know that I felt the same way. He said I didn't look too happy to see him there. I told him I was happier when they broke up. I told Mom if she wanted to marry Chris, I'd accept it. She told me that it didn't sound like I wanted her to. I told her not really. Chris asked why when we've known each other for years. He asked if I didn't care about him and his daughter at all. I said I didn't care. Mom asked Chris to give us some time to talk, and Mom and I talked. She wanted to know more about my feelings, and I told her. I was honest with her that I didn't think I'd ever see Chris or his daughter as my family, but I could accept them as hers. And I would never want to stop her from being happy. Chris is pissed now. He wants his mom and him to get married and for his daughter to have a more stable family. But she felt some bond or whatever with me and my mom, and he doesn't want her to live with a one-sided relationship. He and my mom were arguing a few times. Mom said I couldn't help how I feel, and they could wait and try dating for a few years before getting married. He didn't want to take his daughter's chance at having a mom there while she's still young. I don't think they know what they'll do now. AITA. He is navigating complex emotions around a long-term, inconsistent relationship between his mother and her on-and-off boyfriend, Chris. The OP is the teenage son who simply doesn't feel connected to the people his mom wants to bring into their lives. So, I would rate OP's mother 2.5, and OP 0 out of 5 on the scale. Let's now jump on to the next story from Anna_Zuska. AITA for quitting as a tutor after my student screamed at me and disrespected me, again? Early 20s. Have been tutoring an 11-year-old girl for the past 2.5 years. She lost both her parents shortly before I started teaching her and now lives with her elderly grandmother, who has a disability, one leg amputated. I've been teaching the girl 4 days a week, 2 hours per session, and at first, I was paid €2,000 a month. After 2.5 years, that went up to €3,000, still under €100 an hour. Not that I ever did it for the money, but I feel like it matters to the context. The home environment has always been difficult. There's regular shouting and arguing between the student and her grandmother, and the overall energy is emotionally intense. I have anxiety, and yelling tends to trigger me. I remember freezing the first time they screamed in front of me. Even now, my hands shake when she raises her voice. Still, I stuck with it because I cared. I adjusted my schedule around her, canceled plans, studied early for my exams just to make time for hers, and barely took any leaves, even when I was sick. The girl has been disrespectful on multiple occasions, mocking my height, yelling at me, refusing to listen, and generally treating me like I didn't matter. Her grandmother also made comments about me behind my back, e.g., I waste food, when she gave me more than I could eat, or I take too many leaves, even though I rarely did. I stopped eating there. I stopped missing sessions even when I needed to. I helped her with school projects, made notes, explained topics again and again when she got distracted, and yet I constantly felt like I was never enough. Today, I had really bad period cramps and couldn't attend college in the morning. I was late to the tutoring session, and when I arrived, the student and her grandmother were already in a heated argument. I calmly tried to shift her focus to her studies. I asked a casual question about schoolwork and mentioned, lightheartedly, that she used to often say her copy was submitted last year, something that was true and said in a non-accusatory tone. But she exploded. She started screaming at me, pointing her finger, saying I don't deserve respect just because I'm older. I finally told her I couldn't teach her anymore if this was how she was going to treat me. She snapped back that I was acting. I told her and her grandmother that I couldn't keep doing this. It was mentally exhausting and taking a real toll on me. Her grandmother later called to ask if I meant what I said, and when I gently said yes, unless her behavior changed, she brushed it off with, "You know she doesn't have parents." I do know, and I have tried so hard to be patient, understanding, and empathetic. But I don't believe grief justifies constantly hurting others, especially people who are trying to help. For context, they pay another tutor €4,000 a month, who teaches 6 days a week and has other students and a full-time job. She's often praised as better than me. This was my first student, and I know I'm still learning. But I cared deeply, and I truly gave it everything I had. Now I'm left wondering, AITA for finally walking away? Edit. First, thank you so much to everyone who took the time to comment and offer support. Your kind words helped me realize a few things. It wasn't professional to continue teaching her for this long, especially when her behavior had been this disrespectful for so long. I thought I was helping her, but looking back, I was mostly doing it because I felt bad for her and wanted to help her heal. I've learned that my own mental and emotional well-being matters too, and I should not have stuck around as long as I did. Also, just to add, her grandmother called me again this morning, still asking me to reconsider and come back. I very professionally and calmly declined. I told her that this wasn't the first time the child had acted this way, and that while I understand she's dealing with grief, that doesn't justify taking it out on someone who's simply trying to help. I even suggested she consider therapy for the child, because there's a lot of unresolved pain being channeled in unhealthy ways. She repeated, "But she's an orphan," and I told her gently but firmly, that doesn't excuse mistreating someone who's just here to teach her. And honestly, what stings a little is that the child hasn't even apologized. Not a message, not a call, not even a text. She has a phone. She's constantly active on WhatsApp and Instagram. I'm not expecting a grand gesture, but after 2.5 years of teaching her, of being there, even when I was sick or struggling, a simple "I'm sorry" would have shown some acknowledgement. But I guess that just confirmed it for me. I did the right thing by walking away. OP is not the AH. She is a compassionate and committed tutor who went above and beyond for her student under emotionally draining conditions. OP has the right to protect her mental health and set boundaries. So, I would rate OP 0 out of 5 and OP's student 2.5 on the AH scale. Let's now move on to the next story from Pater Phobos. AITA for getting a disabled lady charged? I had surgery on both legs after an accident. It was for both ankles and my left knee, with the left leg being substantially more serious. The recovery meant that I was wheelchair-bound for 5 months. My right ankle recovered enough to be able to drive myself around after a month, so I ended up being given a temporary disability card to help with the wheelchair. The problem comes when my daily driver is manual, so I can't shift the gears. However, I had a second car, a Toyota Supra, that I have had for donkey's years. It's automatic, so I could drive it at that point. It's not comfortable or easy, but I can get around in a pinch. Trouble comes when I go to meet with friends for food. I park in a disabled parking bay, placard displayed, and begin to haul the chair out and set it up. Credit to anyone who does this daily. A lady approaches me from an adjacent disabled parking space and says that I shouldn't park here, so I explain that I have a temporary permit due to my legs and I am well within my rights. I was being as reasonable as I could. She does not like this and starts screaming that I probably stole the placard and that if I can drive my racer car, then I can park elsewhere and leave the disabled parking spaces to people truly disabled like her. From then on, I just ignore her. I'm not going to change her mind anyhow, and jump into my chair to go grab some food. About an hour later, from the window of the restaurant we are at, I see this lady walking away. On the way past my car, she empties into my car what looks to be one of those glass soy sauce bottles that Japanese restaurants have, and once empty, throws the bottle onto my hood, and continues to another store. My friends and I see this and fly back to the car. Sure, as shit there is soy sauce everywhere and a new fist-sized dent in the hood. I took her license plate down and called the police non-emergency line. They had someone close who arrived in about 10 minutes. The police took my statement about the whole situation, including her going off at me to begin with, and the new dent in my otherwise straight car. I explained where she had gone, and one of the officers retrieved her from the store to tell her side. She admitted to taking and throwing the bottle to damage my car, and I have about 5 witnesses, so the cop asks me if I want to press criminal charges. I know it will make it easier for me to get my vehicle repaired via insurances, so I say yes, that and she was a dick. The lady is ticketed pending a court date. She ended up getting charged, has to do an anger management course, and pay the repair costs. I feel as though I was in the right in getting her charged. I did nothing wrong. I acted within the law and was respectful. However, a friend was angry after I told him, saying I was making a disabled person's life harder than it already is. She was probably sick of people parking in parks reserved for people with disabilities and was lashing out, plus I hardly explained myself to her. He said it's just a dent in my car and nothing to ruin someone's life over. I do see his side, but I didn't force her to do any of this. AITA. OP is not an AH. He acted within his legal rights. Being disabled doesn't excuse criminal behavior, and OP had every right to press charges to cover the damage. As for scores, I would rate OP 0 out of 5, and the disabled lady 2.5 on the AH scale. What do the Mac Reddit fans think? Is the OP an AH or not? Let me know in the comments section below. If you like the stories I brought you, just hit the like button, share them as much as you can, and don't forget to subscribe to Mac Reddit for a daily dose. Bye bye, see you tomorrow with some more spicy fries.